If you are new to Linux or are looking to switch from Windows, one of the most confusing things is understanding what a Linux distribution actually is. I mean, there are hundreds of them and they all look pretty different. Everyone online has a very strong opinion about which one is the best. Underneath all of that though, they are built from the same core pieces. Once that clicks, Linux starts to make a lot more sense. Now I want to start by saying this up front. I am still a Linux noob myself. I switched over fairly recently, and while I use Linux every day now, I am very much still learning as I go. While trying to reinforce my own understanding, I realised I did not really have a full, clear mental picture of what a Linux distribution actually is and how all the different pieces fit together. So I sat down and I broke it out properly, starting from the basics. Once I did that, it felt like one of those moments where things finally click. And I thought it would be worth putting this together and sharing it, because if it helped me, it might help others too. There are definitely better and more expert level videos out there, and this is not trying to be one of those. This is a simple explanation from a newbie's perspective, aimed at helping other people understand what Linux actually is. So at its core, Linux is the kernel. The Linux kernel is the part of the system that talks to your hardware. It manages things like your CPU, memory, storage, and devices. Every Linux distribution uses a kernel. Fundamentally, this part does not change no matter what distro you choose. On its own though, the kernel is not something you can really use. To turn it into a usable system, more pieces are added around it. So the next layer is called the base system. This includes core utilities and libraries that handle things like files, users and permissions and networking. Then you have the system's services. These run in the background and take care of things like networking, audio, logging, time and power management. You usually don't interact with these directly, but every Linux system relies on them. Another key building block is the package manager and repositories. This is how software is installed, updated and removed. Each base distro has its own package manager, but the idea is always pretty much the same. Software comes from trusted sources, updates are handled centrally, and you do not need to hunt for installers online. Now on top of that you have the desktop environment, and this is the graphical layer that provides the desktop, windows, menus, settings and a file manager. This is where a lot of the visual differences between distros come from. If you change a desktop environment, then the whole system can feel completely different, even though the underlying parts are the same. And then finally there's the applications themselves, you know, the things that we use every day, like the web browsers, the media players and the office tools and the games. Applications sit on top of everything, and most of the time they don't define the distro, although some have their own tool sets. Now, different Linux distributions can look and feel different, but they are pretty much built from the same core building blocks. The kernel, the base system, the services and the overall structure kind of stay the same. What changes are things like the defaults, the update style, the desktop and the software choices. So the main takeaway here is that a Linux distribution is not a completely different operating system each time. It's a collection of the same building blocks, but arranged in slightly different ways. Once you understand these building blocks, choosing a distro should become much less intimidating. If you're new to Linux and this helped make things a little bit more easy to understand, then please let me know. And if you're further along on your journey or you spot something worth improving or clarifying, I'm always happy to learn. And as always, if you've made it this far, thank you very much. Don't forget to pop a comment down below or leave an emoji for the sake of engagement. Thank you so much for watching. You guys take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.